Welcome to Light It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Light It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah, and today I have a very special guest who has agreed to join me here on the podcast. Very dear and special friend of mine. We go way back. I won't say how many years because then I'll date her with her age. But my guest today is my very good friend and sister, Evita Ali, and Evita has agreed to join us today on Light It Up to talk about her journey as a breast cancer survivor in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Welcome to Light It Up, Evita.
Hi, and thank you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show, talk about your journey. So we are right at the beginning of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I couldn't think of another person that I wanted to talk to other than you. So I want you to, share your journey, your story. But I guess before we really get into that, I guess with a full disclosure, since I said that we go way back, you and I have known each other for
Oh God.
how many years?
It's 20 plus years, I know. Like 27 or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I am the little sister that you always wanted and didn't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're my sister.
Yes.
And 3 years ago, as a matter of fact, August 26th,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
You were diagnosed with
It was breast cancer. It was stage 2 triple negative breast cancer. And so it started off because, I hadn't had a mammogram in a couple of years. And most of us never really think, oh yeah, we'll put it out, because who likes to go in there? Because it's all about the whole mammogram that everyone hates. Every woman hates to take, because there's like the squishing and the squashing. And you're like, Lord have mercy, let me hurry up and get this over with. And I had just started a job. And I normally like putting all my doctor's appointments towards the end of the year so I could start the year fresh. And I had just started this job, and I decided to go get a mammogram. And lucky for me, it was a Saturday. I don't have to take off work, none of that. I went in and I'm like, yeah, go come in here. Afterwards, I got lunch and, just was going to be a good day. And so I went in and they did the exam, and they always tell you to go wait in the room because they got to look at the results. Then they said, okay, we want to do one more. And we went back in and they did some more things. We just want to look at this area and that area. And that happens often with many people who do a breast exam. Then they said, okay, go back, sit down. And then it was a little bit longer of a wait. And then they said, okay, the main doctor wants to see you, because, you in there, you got the technicians, and then you have a main doctor who actually is looking at all the results when they come in. I went back there. He said, I want to do an ultrasound. So I never had that before. And I went in and I did the ultrasound. And so he was looking, and, you always feel like, and then I sat up and he said, Miss Ali, we don't sugarcoat things around here. This is breast cancer.
Wow.
And I sat there like, huh? And, you think to yourself, like, what are you even talking about? Because it's still not registering in your mind. And you're like, well, and I noticed prior to that, I was like, oh, I got an exam. And then, you start feeling yourself because you want to know before you go in. But I know it was a little hardness, like towards the top here.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy enough, I always thought your breast is your breast, which you put your bra around.
Right.
Not here. I never thought of that being a part of my breast area.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed like right in my right breast area at the top, what I would call my chest, I did have a little hardness there, but I didn't feel it until I knew I had to do the exam. And I thought to myself, yeah, it's a little hardness there, but you still, that was the furthest thing from my mind. And he told me, he said, well, we're going to send your results to your primary care doctor and, make an appointment. So they made an appointment for me. I think my doctors called me that Monday and said, we want you to come in and talk to you about your exam. So it didn't become really real, even though they told me there in your specialty. When my doctor walked through the door, when I was sitting there, he had that look on his face and he came and sat down and he grabbed my hand and he started speaking really, so I am so sorry. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is real, real at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was real, real. And then it turned around and I said, well, I don't even know what this means. He said, well, I want you to see this particular doctor. And she's the head of the breast, and she's a breast specialist, but she's the head of the department. She wasn't available for the next week. I said, I want to go in now. And I figure whoever she's the head, I'm thinking whoever's under her, she sees everything anyway. So it didn't matter. I'm like, let me get in. I swear to you, I had an appointment that Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
That was Tuesday when I saw him. Thursday, I went in, and you know how you always see one doctor before who comes in and talk to you before your main doctor because, you're at a teaching hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So he came in and he was just writing down stuff and asking questions. At that point, I had my cousins with me. So I'm sitting there, you're on the exam table, and we all, ha, 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 laugh, laugh, talk, talk. He got through asking questions. He left out. So my doctor is Dr. O'Donoghue. When she walked through the room, she said, okay, so the breast cancer, da, da, da. They were like, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. Now, mind you, two people had already told me I had breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Still, everybody was like, wait a minute, hold up. And she said, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me just say, this is what I do every day, all day. This is breast cancer. And she pulled a shelf and she sat down. And after that, all I heard, rah, 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 because you don't hear. When I mean she went through, we're going to find out what type of cancer. I want you to have that, I'm trying to think of the exam that Angelina Jolie took, that test. So it's the test of just to find out where historically,
Mm-hmm.
these things could have come about, which is the reason why I tell everybody, stop trying to make up the reason why people get cancer, no matter what it is, because it can be for so many other reasons other than how we eat. Because we're made of genes and cells and all these other things that make up our body, and we never question them because we're living beings and we wake up, go to bed, we live our day, live our lives daily. You don't think about the internal things going on in your body unless they're bothering you. So you don't really think about it. And it just became, I saw a doctor after that. I saw her, I think a couple of days, maybe the next week, I did the MRI.
Mm-hmm.
And they went in and they put in pins near where they, so what they originally had saw two small masses, then they saw four. They were just like on top of each other in the breast cell.
Before you get too far into that, let me just, one of the things that I want to know, you stated that you had triple negative breast cancer. So what exactly does that mean?
So is negative for progesterone, negative for estrogen,
Mm-hmm.
and HER2.
Okay.
So when you're negative, first of all, the reason why I'm negative for estrogen because I had a hysterectomy
Mm-hmm.
in 2011. So I didn't have any estrogen because I had a full hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
And they say triple negative is more aggressive in Black women and Latino women.
Mm-hmm.
And at a young age. So there's our only course of action, we can't even do hormone because we're missing that.
Right.
Some of us are missing that for triple negative. So I couldn't even do any other hormone therapy or something like that. I had to do chemo. And even with my chemo, I had 8 rounds and it still never erased it. It just decreased it just a tad bit.
And how often did you have to go in for the chemo
I
treatment?
went every other Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I went in Thursday morning. So when you go in Thursday, let's say my appointment was at 10. I didn't leave out of there till about 3. So my first 4 rounds of chemo, they have a nurse that sits next to you. So I had to, okay, let me go back. So you, instead of them using my veins, I had to get a port put in my chest. And that's so that they won't, your veins could collapse if they're constantly putting needles in and then for them to be in there that long a period of time. Because the whole time you're there, you have a needle in your arm. But so instead they do it through your chest, which is safer. So you have to have a surgery to get a port put in, and that's where they put the needle and put this, like, it looks like a little capsule thing that they can put on and put the needle to. And the nurse had to sit there and slowly push the medication through my IV to go through my body. So it's like literally she was like, yeah, so, just a regular old conversation. And she just slowly pushing it in. She had to do, I think it might have been about 8 of them that she had the medication because there's like a cap, like it looked like a big needle like this, like a capsule and then a needle like that. And she slowly pushed it through while sitting there and making sure. And when you have IVs, so you can feel things going through your body and the medication. And you don't really notice the difference that first time.
Mm-hmm.
You feel, you're like, okay, all right, okay, I'm a little tired. I've been here all day. You ain't pushing it. But after you just begin, it drains you because medication is going through your entire body. And it's supposed to be working to decrease and kill the what I would call the germ, that deadly disease in your body. And sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't work for people. All you do is pray that whatever the medication is, if I'm not sure how they determine how much to give you, because at some point when it doesn't decrease the medication they give you for the same type, they say, okay, surgery is the only way we can get this out of her body. And that the first 4, so they always tell you your second round of chemo, you'll start to lose your hair. So I'm thinking, at least if you think of breakage, you think some people just go ahead and get their hair cut. But I was like, I'm going to wait till mine fall out to cut mine. Cause I'm like, and I used to wear my hair short and it was so about my second time for October, it was October and my cousin, her son's birthday, we was at the water park. And we had jumped in the pool and we was in the pool laughing and talking. And we came back upstairs and we were sitting there, you take your shower because you get all the chlorine. And I started combing my hair and I'm still didn't think about it at the time. And I started combing my hair and I was like, whoa, what is this hair? And then when I started doing this, it was just coming out in clumps. And I was like, oh my God, this is coming out in clumps. What is this? And then it just really, it was just then after that, I was just pulling it.
How did you feel when if you can remember in that moment when that happened?
Yes, because at first, well, you know what? They started videotaping it. Because at first I was like, oh my God, y'all, I'm losing it. I'm losing my hair. I don't think the entire time some things were really hitting me. I knew what was going on with me. I knew what I had to do, but I didn't cry until, I remember the first time I really actually cried was when I was sitting in when I had to meet all my doctors. And you know how they show the thing on TV where they got a table, like a conference room, and they got a bunch of doctors sitting there and they're discussing your thing. Truly, really, I walked past and saw all these doctors in the room sitting there. And I went to the conference room across from that room. Mm-hmm. And I sat in there, and so I had to meet my surgery oncologist, my chemo oncologist, the radiology team, my plastic surgeon, and some few other people. And I'm like, okay. And then that's when I was like, I kept saying, this is some bull. I never said the word all the way through. I just said, this is some bull. Every time I saw them.
One of the things that, and I didn't want to stop you when you were talking about when you were diagnosed with breast cancer, and it just seems like it just was instant. You know, like I go and I get a mammogram every year, and I mean, I've had on 2 occasions where, well, each time I've gone, let me just say this, they always say, you know, the doctor will look at it and we'll send you, you know, notification in the mail. I've never had a situation where, you know, during the time of a mammogram that they've actually looked at it on site while I was there. But I have been called back because after they reviewed it, you know, they saw something and I had to go back again for another exam. But it seems like it wasn't until, like, you knew, they told you had breast cancer, but it didn't seem like it was until the head doctor, her name escapes me right now, who came in, that maybe it just, that it like, it was then real.
Yeah.
So was there a time period in between getting your mammogram and then those few days later, between seeing her, did you think that there was some type of mistake or?
And you know what? I'm glad you asked that, because some people are like, you don't want a second opinion. So what I told people, I don't know if you realize, but I am at one of the top hospitals in the country. I just can't imagine.
Let us know, where were you?
Yeah, I was at Rush University Hospital, and I was just talking to my cousin, right, you know, about an hour ago, and I said, I'm a part of a breast cancer, couple of them on Facebook. And when I tell you, I feel so very gracious to know that I was somewhere where my doctors actually cared, because so I go back. So during that time I was meeting all these doctors, a nurse practitioner came in. She gave me a booklet. And this booklet, you know, I opened it, had my name on it, and switched back what type of cancer I had. Then it was a tablet. These are going to be your medications. We're sending all these medications to, what is your pharmacy? Okay, that's the pharmacy. So you're going to need this medication at this point and this medication at that point. Each during my progress, this is when I'm going to need these medications, because these are the things most likely to happen that you will need this medication. We're not waiting for it to happen. We want you to have it. If you don't need it, then don't worry about it.
So they were very proactive.
So they sent them, but in these groups, there are so many people that are like, I'm having this problem, and my doctor, who do I get? What do I do for the medication? And so I'm shocked, like, what do you mean what you do for the medication? Your doctors know neuropathy. You get these tingling in your feet and your hands, that's going to happen, because it's just what happens to you. Why didn't they prescribe that to you, knowing you're going to be taking chemo and things for pain? Like, why wouldn't they give that to you? Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was like, wait a minute, I don't understand. And it was naivety, because I've gone through the same thing, but these are what my doctors did. These are people who care. And
it also makes a difference. I mean, that just goes to show or confirms the problem with the American healthcare system anyway. You know, all hospitals are not equal.
Not yet. You know, and you know what else? And I'll tell you something else. I did not, at the time, I had some other random unknown health insurance. So I was being covered initially. So I kind of had started the job, and shortly after, like I started in July, Diagnosed in August, lost my job in December.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Evita. And I'm thinking to myself, and it's like, well, if you need anything, I need my damn job is what I need. I was coming to work every day except the day I went to chemo. I'm not understanding. If there's something wrong, like you don't understand what I'm going through, then I come to work, you don't see all of a sudden one day I had, Friday I had hair, Sunday, Saturday, Monday I come in and I have no hair. I'm coming. And then it got to the point I can't sleep at night. So I sleep when I go home and I rest. Then I wake up and I'm up all night. I'm 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I'm up like sitting up like I don't have nobody to talk to because everybody else is asleep. People have to go to work. And so I'm TV, TV, TV. And I'm like, then all of a sudden around 12 in the afternoon, I'm like, because my body it was just weird. The timing was off. And you go through these things. I'm also lucky I didn't have pain. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's because I was taking medication to not have that kind of pain. And I feel blessed in that way. And it just, and it's such a scary thing. And but one thing I didn't want to happen, and because I tell you, my first chemo session, I had about 12, 13, 14 people there for my first chemo. So I had a cousin and she's like, she said, let me tell you, I wouldn't be making it through this. Because if they'd have told me that, I'd have just lost. I said, I don't have time for that. Because at the time, I was, the first part is because my last chemo session was in January. I was turning 49. Mm-hmm. I didn't have time to think. I'm 48 years old. I wanted to make it to 50 because my grandmother, she was gone at 50 or 49, cancer. It wasn't breast cancer, but still cancer.
There is history of cancer in
the family. So my mom had ovarian cancer. They caught hers early, and then you think about Ann, they told me if I had not already had a hysterectomy, I would have had to have one because the two are related. We don't think so. They said, why did you make a decision to remove both your breasts? Well, I remember it had to be, I got married in 97, somewhere around there. And I started having issues, abdominal issues. It was polyps removed. A year and a half, 2 years later, fibroids, get them removed. Come back, removed, come back, removed. Pain, long periods, I'm like, why do I have to keep going through this? Until my doctor's like, hey, keep having these surgeries. They're going to keep coming back. Or what you're going to do? Because my scary thought was I didn't want it to turn into ovarian cancer or cervical cancer. So whatever's going on with me, I don't know what it is. So apparently my mom, my aunt, she had things going on. She had to have a hysterectomy. She ended up having, what's the last one? After fibroids, I can't think of what it is. Whatever that last one, I ended up having that. She discovered when she gave me the hysterectomy. Mm-hmm. So I was just tired. So
I'm sorry. When you decided to get the hysterectomy, did you know about the
correlation of it, the two?
Well, no, about, like your mom and your aunt. Were you aware? Did you all openly talk about that? So were you already aware that your mom had previously been diagnosed with ovarian cancer, or, that there was a history of that in the family? Because sometimes we don't talk about all of our health issues.
We all knew.
Okay.
We knew my mom when she was having it. We was gonna go down there and flash. I don't need nobody, she just fights it. Like, I don't need nobody, because everybody try to be brave. I don't need nobody. I'm good. Because people don't know somebody that you've been cut on. What you're gonna do. You're gonna be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
We were there for Winnie, but we never held the conversation. We all just knew. Okay, we just knew it's all. And then my cousin, she was having the same issues, but we still didn't. I don't know why that's never a conversation of really talking about we're all affected by it. Why? But it was until I got breast cancer that everybody really want to talk about it. Because
And
what you think
that's
about?
interesting, though, that the breast cancer diagnosis, everybody wants to talk about it and discuss it. I don't know if that's, I mean,
I think because most times, like for us in our family, when it was cancer, somebody died.
mm,
That's why it became important.
mhm.
Other than that, okay, okay, you go to the doctor or whatever, and you know, you just don't, I don't know. And I just don't think that we hold conversations about, because I think Black people in general, all long periods and heavy periods, all that's just normal. Girl, you, me, we act like that's normal. But if you really talk to a doctor who cares, say, no, that is not normal. We
Yeah.
just, okay, we deal with stuff, which is the reason why when I saw the, when I had my surgery, a therapist came in a room and said that the doctors wanted me to meet with you, and so that we can discuss what just has happened with you.
And I know you
And
were, what you started off talking about, you were, because you were mentioning why you decided to have, because you had a double mastectomy, right?
yeah,
And you were, I think someone had asked you, why did you decide to
yeah,
double mastectomy? And you were talking about how you, the history, the problems that you were having, which led to you having the hysterectomy. So was,
I felt that would have happened if I just had what is a lumpectomy, when they just go in and remove it, but you still keep your breast.
mm-hmm.
So I felt like that ain't gonna happen. It's gonna come back. That's just, that was my thought. It's gonna come back. If I kept having, I said, whatever's going on with my body, whatever that is likely that that's gonna come back. So just remove them. I don't want to think about them. Though they said, well, let us remind you that it can still come back, but come back on your chest wall.
Wow.
It can still come back liver, kidney, brain. So you just feel like, and a lot of I meet. So a young lady that I know, she did the lumpectomy route
Mm-hmm.
the year before me, turned around right after I had my surgery and had to have a double
Wow.
because it came back. A few people knew came back. Another lady who I know, she was getting her hair done at the same place. She had one removed. She regrets it to this day. She said, I wish I'd have done both. So many, and I hear people, I said, it's hard for me, and everybody has their own choices, to understand how you want to be 2-time, 3-time, 4-time cancer survivor because you refuse to remove your breast, because for some reason people think your breast is what makes you a woman. If you have a hysterectomy, oh my God, keep your ovaries because that makes you a woman. But nobody sees those things.
Right.
Nobody sees that have your ovaries. Nobody. Most of the times when you do a double mastectomy, they'll ask you if you want implants, or some people go without them. I've read stories that a lot of women say, no, y'all can. I don't want nothing because it is uncomfortable. They put I've lost my memory on
The expanders. I just remember when
expanders.
we talked about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember talking.
They put in the expanders, which has like maybe like a balloon or something under it, which they have to put saline solution in, and they put it in every week. They put in so many cc's every week until it's like, you like that breast size? Is that okay with you? So you
Well,
like,
if you weren't blessed with a nice cup size, then you have your option of getting the cup size that you wanted.
yes, but me, I'm like, I'll just, give me some breasts. What's my breast size? What was my breast size before? So I couldn't go back to my breast size. They said they had to, it has to be a reduction in your breast size. But so when they were doing it, so mind you, when they take air, they took everything out. They cut the areola and the nipple. They get rid of that because cancer can come back in your nipple or your areola. So they cut that away. And then you for months you lay in there with, you got to lay on your back because you can't lay on your stomach because you have these expanders in, and they're putting saline solution in it, which means that if just imagine they cut everything, they cutting your skin and you flat chested, as they used to say, and they put that stuff in, and then so it's stretching your skin, and instead of they getting big, I said, hey, you know what? We ain't got to go any further. We can stop this now. I don't want to go any further because it hurts. It's stretching your skin. And I said, I do not. I kept telling them, I don't know how these women who get breast implants decide that they want to be any bigger than what they are. Well, this is nuts. And I was like, especially if you haven't had that.
Right.
And I'm like, I said, we good. We good.
So, I mean, now, obviously, now you can laugh about it, you know, when you're thinking about it. But of course, when you were going through, I know you were experiencing all sorts of, you know, emotions and feelings or what have you. And I know for the most part, I think you did try your best to keep up a positive disposition, because I mean, your state of mind, of course, is going to make the difference in your healing as well. But did you go through any, I know you mentioned like some different Facebook groups or support groups. Did you go through any type of counseling? What type of family support did you have as you were going through the surgeries, the chemo, and the transition and making your way to healing?
So I tell you, it's funny, and I'll start off with when the therapist came in and we made an appointment and I started seeing her. So when you think about your family dynamics are interesting because people really don't know what to say to you. And it's what's really interesting, even before we get to the surgery to keep on. It was like, everything will be okay. It's, you know, it's not really cancer. I was like, it's cancer, you know, because for them, I had to start thinking, how do they feel? It became, and it almost became no longer about how I feel, but how they feel and how they're taking it.
Did you feel like you had to be strong for them or keep up this?
I felt like I had to. It's already people like, you know, you had this tough experience. You were on that. Like I didn't have time. I felt like I didn't have time to cry. I didn't have time to break down. I felt like depression creeps in quickly. So I'm like, you know, what could I do not to feel this? Now, I did feel like I had certain friends or people I felt, I don't know, sometimes you feel like, were you really my friend? But then I had to stop and say, maybe that's something they can't take. They don't want to see me like this. They don't want to be around me. So I had to be happy. I had to be a certain way just so people could be like, oh, okay, you fine. But when I was in the room talking to my therapist, it got to the point, I think I went off on her one day and I said, Black women can't afford to sit up and cry and be on their knees or take medication or take time out. We got to get the up and do what we got to do. She was looking at me like, now she wasn't Black. She was, I forget whatever her nationality is, but she was like, did you just go up on me? I said, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because I realized I saw her for a year, every week for a year. And I tell you, I realized sometimes I'm a judger of people who judging me. Not judging me, but you're my therapist. But I realized she was not a family person. She didn't even understand that dynamic. You don't walk away from your family. Or she didn't, I always ask people, I said, did you study Black culture? I ask people that because you have to understand, no matter how crazy it sounds to you, our dynamic is, we'll still come together like ain't nothing just happened yesterday. We could have just came to blows and argued and fight and called each other all kind of names. And then it come to family gathering, hey, you hug and kiss like nothing has happened.
Well, some families now, I don't know about all.
But I'm just saying, a lot of times, you know, it's like that. you think about it, you be like, what did, that's crazy. Because you can turn around like, after you didn't just hug somebody, it's because it's momentary,
But it is important. I had a certified counselor uh, on the episode. Well, we recorded an interview, and we were talking about the importance, for Black women or Black people in general, when you're meeting with a counselor, how it's important to have someone that you can identify with, because if you are going to therapy and your counselor does not understand, like you said,
I think I remember that one. Yeah. Because I was thinking to myself, because I must have been in my office, and sometimes I listen to your podcast while I'm working. I don't actually view it. I can listen to it. I'm like, because you just feel like you want to do an amen moment. That's true.
Yeah.
And it's so, you want somebody who understands. Mm-hmm. But then again, I have to stop and think about, I'm not always right in these instances. Maybe the how I'm approaching a particular situation is wrong, and I need to be told this isn't beneficial for you, because you can't move on with your life. You can't move ahead because you keep tackling the same situation the same way, and nothing will change for you. So you're gonna, how can I help you get there if you're not listening too? And we need to learn how to listen. We're just not there, because there have been moments I've had therapy where I felt like I was gossiping. I felt like I was talking, because I didn't want to give my therapist an impression of, or my mother, my aunt, my cousins, and I didn't want them to have a negative perception of them. And I had to think, like, why am I worried about that? Because this is the reason why I'm here. Mm-hmm. It's because something's not right. Right. So, depression, because you will always feel like you have a short time in life. You always feel like that, because they said once you get it, you can always get it again. It don't matter the amount of years. So that's, in a group, you'll always see these women, 5 years, I made it 10 years. Some people like 20 years, because you're happy that you made it through. Right. Because sometimes people go through you and it can come back. Mm-hmm. Now, we talk about, what's her name that just passed away, the Supreme Court judge.
Ruth Gator.
Look at
Ginsburg. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So look at it. How many times it kept coming, cancer, this period kept coming back, and she fought it. So you think to yourself, it doesn't matter. And you don't even know what it is. Right. You don't know what it is that causes that particular thing to come back in your life. And it's just, I feel odd, because I think I'm angry. I feel angry. Sometimes I can be watching stuff out, and it is funny, because recently, the last couple of weeks, I was sitting up here watching something that it was an emotional end or part of the movie, but I felt overly emotional. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? This is just like, but I felt one of those things where I couldn't talk. You get that trembling in your voice, you feel, because sometimes some things come to me, and I guess I feel the struggle afterwards. I lost my job. I can't, it was hard to find a job, because my therapist kept saying, do not tell them that you were out because of cancer. Do not. I'm not a liar. It's hard for me to keep up the lie. So what do I say? I've been out for a year going through all of this stuff. What do you tell them? And amazingly enough, how dare you judge me? I'm here. I'm alive. You feel like I didn't just beat this thing, and you judging me and won't hire me for a job that I'm clearly qualified for. You feel like it's a slap in your face. Like, how dare you? And it gets so overwhelming, because I feel like I'm struggling just to get back. And as you know, I'm working 3 jobs, but luckily none of those people cared. Mm-hmm. None of those people cared. They were like, oh, okay,
when can you get to work?
And because one, just even the one I got the job at Lane Bryant, I just did that for the heck. I was like, let me put this application in. I shot there. And then when they called me, I was like, wait a minute. Then I go, this is just interview practice. That's what I said. This is just interview practice. I went in, the lady's like, okay, nice meeting you. When can you start? I said, huh? I was shocked because I had been told, oh no, or you get the letter, or you don't never get a call back. Then you just find, so you still feel this anger because you're still struggling to get some way, and I just don't want. I do feel depression a lot of times, but I don't want it to overwhelm me. So that's what I fight against, most times, is not to have that. And then you feel lonely. Even though I was surrounded by all these people, I still felt lonely.
Was the loneliness because you felt like people didn't really truly understand what you were going through and your experience, although they were, of course, trying to be supportive and be there for you? But where do you think the loneliness came into play? Because because they couldn't relate?
I don't think I felt that. I just felt like the loneliness came from, I didn't feel love. Like, they love me, but I didn't feel like, you don't have a companion. You don't have somebody to hold you and comfort you. And you feel like, you got your cousin or whatever. Okay, they would come.
Different kind of loneliness.
I know that.
I wasn't your family. But I get it.
Yeah, but because sometimes my cousin, we all slept in the bed. They were like, "You okay?" We joke and play like that. But you just feel like sometimes you just want a hug. And especially somebody who's about 6'4", whatever. Look, just joking. Is you just because you feel like you're walking it alone. You just feel like I'm walking this path alone, and as I do my walks, and still when you're around people, you just feel like I pray that I live a while, live a little longer, that this doesn't come back. Because crazily enough, I'm like, how will my family feel if I'm no longer here? You look around, I go, maybe I need to start writing some things down, or you look at your things, and you look at, like, what is somebody supposed to do with this? And you just feel they're not going to know, they're going to feel an absence. And I don't know why I'm worried about how they will feel or how they were going, because you have to think, when we lose somebody, there's an absence that's always going to be there.
Right.
And you just, so I try to do things, which I always want to celebrate my birthday. I always want to make a difference, which is the reason why I said, what can I do? And I decided, just, okay, I'll do my own breast cancer walk. I do want to, the reason for that, in this year, Saturday, October 17th, at 9 a.m. At first, I was going to do the whole walk in the woods, but I know everybody can't take that. That's a bit much.
We do not want to go out in Never Land. I was going to go to be supportive.
And I knew that. I knew people like, well, I'll be supportive, but that would have been a bit much. Then I started thinking, I said, I'm not going to do that to people right away. Not right away.
Yeah, you got to gradually get folks into it.
Gradually get them. And so I said, well, I normally walk, if I get up in the morning, I'll walk to 31st Street, walk over to King Drive, come down. And at first I put out there, but now I'm thinking maybe we can walk over towards like Lake Park, come down and around. And I said, that'll be cool. That'll be something quick. And everybody's like, yeah. And then I was raising money for the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So you can contact them if you want to do your own fundraising. How they put it, your own fundraising through you. You're the person doing the fundraising for them, but it's because of you that they're doing this. So at first I put $1,000, and I feel, that's a bit much, maybe, because I personally feel that Black people have issues with donating.
What?
And you know why? Because let me tell you something. I can't tell you how many times I've been at work and things happen, and white people be like, "What? Okay," and it's like not a question for them when it comes to some things that are really charitable or really something serious. They have no problem. We be like, how much is that?
Mm-hmm.
But the most part, I'm like, what's the problem? Or you'll only donate because you can wear jeans on Friday, at work.
Yeah. Well, I know, and typically I think, or I thought, maybe I just assumed, because I have always actually, well, I shouldn't say always, but the last, I don't know, well, as long as 5, 6, 7 years ago that I can remember, I've supported the Susan G. Komen Foundation,
Right.
Breast Cancer Foundation. And you know that, like, I've done the walks. I've
Yeah.
done, even when I couldn't travel to do the walk with other people, I've done the walk here and just kind of, went live on Facebook or what have you. I know for myself, if it's a worthy cause, then I'm all in, all for it. Um, I don't know. So we
Right.
need to
I got you.
find a
Yeah.
way to, I think, maybe publicize a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you are raising funds for the Susan G. Komen Foundation, Breast Cancer Foundation. You have your walk, which is scheduled for Saturday, October 17th at 9 a.m., right?
Hmm.
And you are on Facebook, you're on social media, so folks can go onto your Facebook page and
So starting on the first, I'm gonna keep reposting it every day so that
okay.
people, because with this new algorithm that they have going on with Facebook, people are like, I didn't see that, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So, but what it is open on the Susan G Foundation webpage for you to see people who are, I guess, donating things. So it's open for other people to see it, and then I get a notification that says, if you want to donate, blah blah blah. So I'll find a way for people to share it.
Mhm.
So I had lowered it to 500, and I think I'm up to 240 now.
Okay.
So even if it's $5, $10, any amount would be appreciative. So
That's
that's when I
important. Yeah, that's important to say too, because sometimes people feel like, oh, well,
it's a
the
lot of money.
expectation is to give, like, hundreds of dollars, when if you've got, multiple people who are, if they're even giving $5, that's still
That's
is
a lot.
something.
It
So
adds up.
yeah, there is no amount that is too small, people. So make
No.
sure you go and you support. I'm assuming, are we gonna have t-shirts?
So I'm trying to get to that. What I did find face mat, the face mats, what they are, instead of, the blue and white, when I found the ones pink on Amazon, I'm going to have those. And I'm going to have, like once before when I did my first breast cancer watch, I bought all breast cancer scarves.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have those, but I'm looking into the t-shirt thing.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm
Because
looking to
I
that.
need to purchase a t-shirt so that I'm dressed up.
Yeah, because it was suggested that I go through an Eventbrite or tell people to send the money to me so I can get the t-shirt size or whatever.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that
Yeah.
offline.
Yeah.
But so 3 years in after you were diagnosed and you're a survivor, how do you feel today? What words of wisdom, encouragement can you share with those um, who are tuning in?
So I would like for everyone, and if you haven't had your breast exam, to do it October, if no month at all. October would be a great month to do that. And I'm just saying a lot of things that contribute to some of everybody is like a healthy eating, um, exercise. People think people only exercise to lose weight, but you exercise, even if you're not losing the weight, you want to exercise so that you can, so you just to keep your health, your heart rate, and just you want to try to be as healthy as possible. and and then do your self-examination. Because one of the reasons why I wasn't doing my self-examination, I was no longer having a period. They used to tell you, do your monthly, do your, exam, do your self-exam for yourself. And I just, I wasn't having one. So I'm like, I forget, but every now and then I think, oh, like, oh, okay. But then normally they tell you if it's normally your mate or someone else who will find it first. Your doctor or your mate will probably find it before you do, because they're, it's a different touch or a feel for that. I just want just to be aware and be supportive of people. I did hear a lot of people who have gone through this, and people just don't deal with them any longer. I heard one lady say she was at work, and the person wanted to move away from moving, didn't want to be sitting next to her as if it was contagious.
Wow.
Just really kind of weird. And when you see a lot of times, sometimes I see women, especially if I didn't see them with no hair, you can almost tell if it's stylish or I just like wear my hairball, or if it's so sometimes you'll see people, pink sister, you know, and you ask her just sometimes to be smile and be supportive of people and not feel, don't, a lot of people don't tell because they said they don't want anybody to pity them. I just didn't feel like I thought with people, because I talk about it with anybody, and I didn't feel like I thought somebody would be pitying me. I just felt like I want people to be aware. I want you to do this. I want you to make sure, because I think after I did that, all the women in my family went to get an exam, and just to make sure that they were okay. And that's what I want to do every October, because like I said, if no other month, this month should be the month that people should start getting their exam, because you have more options out there to free exam. Because what I used to do, and I don't know if people had this at their jobs, we used to have, and I'm not sure what the name of the company was, used to come to the job and do exams for women. They had a little, it's not as extensive, but it was well enough. And I used to get mine done through them, and they would tell me. And also, because I'm still doing reading, finding out more things about breast cancer. And I'm going to have some information for the walk for people that I got through the Susan G. Foundation, Susan G. Komen Foundation, to make people more aware of time. Because if I can just make copies, hand it out so that people understand what it is. Because there's always something new coming out. There's always information in which, one of the reasons why I want to do this, and I want to start my own nonprofit to help women. And what you find is people lose their jobs like I did. I found lots of women said that happened to them. And also, people, if you may not be able to pay your rent that month. You may not be able to, your light bill, your gas bill, your cell phone bill. You're not working. Who's going to help with just, small amounts of money, 500, 200? Who's going to help them? And most people, they'll tell you to go through the cancer fund, just a regular cancer foundation. But sometimes they'll go, oh, but well, we don't do that, but who's going to help? And I just feel like there may be other organizations out there, and people take, why don't you join them? But I just had this thing, I just feel very passionately about this at this point in my life, that's something I want to do. So when I want to do these walks or other small um, fundraisers, that this is how I want to, I want to go about it a certain way. And nothing hurts but a try. And if it doesn't work out, then, by all means. But I don't think so, because I have enough friends and family that will be supportive of me. And, it's about introducing you to other people who can help you, and whatever that looks like. So next year, I want to be able to have my own name for my walk. And I want to do this, and I want to make it more a mass thing, get it bigger and bigger. And whatever that looks like, that's what I want to do.
Well, you've got my support. So whatever you need from me, I will be there. You already know. On October 17th, with bells on and my walking shoes. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And really, And I'm happy to know that, you are planning to expand this and do what you can to be supportive of other women who are, experiencing the same, who are battling breast cancer and trying their best to be a survivor. I know there are so many other things that we could have talked about that we didn't get to. So we'll have to make sure that we maybe come back and talk about the success of the walk. Um,
Yeah.
and we can talk about some other things because I mean there was so much that we certainly could have touched on, but it's never enough time.
Never.
So once again, everybody, if you're interested in, you can reach out to Evita. She's on Facebook. Uh, she's one of my Facebook friends. She's also a fan of Light It Up. If you all have not looked at the Light It Up Facebook page, you can scroll and find Evita Ali on Facebook and check out her fundraiser for the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. And then if you are interested, if you're in the Chicagoland area or you have family or friends who are here and you are interested in joining us for the walk on
And
October.
before you end that, another thing I was considering, if they can't find it, what I'm gonna do is put my Cash App thing on my page, and people can donate, and I can add it to the
Yeah.
add it that way. Then that way people are like, I can't find it, I don't see it, so I can do it that way too.
Okay.
Or you may just want to donate because of the walk, and then I'll use that money like prior probably to get t-shirts or to get things, and who knows, I can give something to take it up to the hospital just for patients that's normally in the hospital that may need things, because when you're up there, I'm sorry, that's just a whole, I'm going into a whole added thing. I'm so sorry. It's so much. It is so very much, and gotta write it all down.
Well, we'll make sure that we put the link in the, even when they access, the
Yeah.
show, we'll have the link there too.
Okay.
So just make sure, you check it out. Um, any other closing remarks that you want to make
Well,
before?
I thank you for thinking of me, my dear sister. I really do appreciate it, and my sister was very supportive of me. I appreciate it and love you for that.
Love you too. Don't start getting all mushy and all of that other stuff.
I don't want to mess up your makeup, okay?
But it's always a pleasure because we talk all day, all night. So and
Yes.
don't know what I would do without you. So of course I'm gonna support. Um, so we have to plan a date for a follow-up episode, and we can
Yep.
talk about some other stuff because we definitely have some other stuff to talk about.
Right.
But so I hope each of you enjoyed today's episode of Light It Up. Again, very appreciative to my sister Evita, who was very transparent. It takes a lot, at least I feel like, for people to share their journey, with people that you don't really know. So um, the hope is that you can gain something from Evita's experience and what she shared. And of course, since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, make sure that you schedule your appointment if you have not done so already. Get your mammogram. I've already gotten mine scheduled, so I will be getting the boobies smashed this
Yes.
um, so make sure it's a little bit of pain, but a little bit of comfort, but make sure you go and get your mammograms done.
Right.
Here up and tell a family member, tell a friend, also just remind them, hey, have you scheduled your appointment? Make sure you get it done because we need all of us to be around. So make sure you do that. And I thank you all for taking the time to um, check me out this week. Hope you return next week for another interesting guest. And as always, don't forget to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.